Welcome to today's Explainer. So today we are actually jumping a little bit into the future, specifically looking at the highly aggressive real estate market projected for 2026. We're breaking down this really fascinating and honestly super forward-looking piece from the REI Reply blog. And let me tell you, they make a massive, absolutely unapologetic claim right out of the gate. Your traditional real estate tech stack, it's fundamentally obsolete. We're going to dive into exactly why they believe relying on a legacy CRM is pretty much a guaranteed way to just get wiped out by competitors who are using autonomous AI. I mean, this isn't just about a neat little software update, you know? The source material is suggesting a total paradigm shift in how wholesale real estate operates, and we're going to explore every single angle of their argument today.
Just listen to how they frame this right at the start. In 2026, relying on legacy platforms is like bringing a knife to a drone strike. Wow. I mean, they are not sugarcoating this even a little bit. This definitely isn't some friendly debate about which software has, the prettiest dashboard or the best color-coded tags. This is about absolute survival. They're setting the stage for this hyper-competitive battlefield where your choice of technology literally dictates whether you dominate your market or you just become collateral damage. According to this piece, the days of casually picking a CRM just to keep your contacts in one place, yeah, those days are officially over.
Which kind of brings us to a pretty uncomfortable question for a lot of investors out there. Is simple still enough? For years, the absolute gold standard was just having a basic organizational CRM, platforms like REsimpli, for example, which the source actually uses as their main point of contrast. But this article just challenges that idea head-on. They argue that simply keeping your contacts tidy and organized is nowhere near enough to actually close deals in a market that's moving at breakneck speed. Organization used to be the finish line, right? Now they're saying it's just the bare minimum starting point.
In fact, they rebrand these older systems with this rather grim title. They call them a digital graveyard. Think about that for a second. If your CRM just sits there, passively holding your data, basically waiting for you to finish your coffee, log in, and manually click send, well, it's not a weapon. It's just a glorified filing cabinet. The authors argue that these legacy platforms are essentially built to organize your failure. Why? Because they rely 100% on human effort to trigger any forward momentum. If your workflow requires a real human being to physically push a button just to keep a deal alive, you are already falling behind.
Because let's be real, in this business, speed to lead isn't just some nice-to-have best practice anymore. It is the absolute law. The source claims that a lead left waiting for just 10 minutes is a dead lead. Just imagine that. Imagine losing a $10,000 assignment fee just because you were stuck in the drive-thru and couldn't type out a text fast enough. While you're sitting there waiting for a manual desktop notification to pop up, your competition's automated systems are already 3 text messages deep with that exact same seller. They're qualifying them and locking up the contract before you even open your laptop.
So how do we solve this massive bottleneck? Well, this is where the article makes a really aggressive pivot, aiming straight at traditional outbound operations. They make a huge case for entirely replacing human virtual assistants with autonomous AI agents. Now, this is a massive, massive shift from the old playbook. For the longest time, scaling your business meant hiring this small army of human VAs to do the cold calling and follow-up, right? But the authors assert that this human-centric model is the exact thing holding you back from operating at maximum efficiency.
Let's actually look at the friction points we've all experienced with human teams. We've all been there. It's Monday morning, you have a hot list of leads, and your absolute best VA texts you that they're sick. Boom, the momentum dies. VAs need sleep. You have to deal with turnover, training fatigue, inevitable human error, and sometimes even language barriers that can frustrate sellers. Now contrast all of that with the article's vision of an AI agent. It is awake 24/7, it literally never quits, it executes your scripts with 100% precision every single time. The source points out something really interesting here. Midnight leads are often the most motivated, and a human team simply can't capture them. The AI, on the other hand, never misses a beat. And then, of course, there's the financial reality of it all. The article points to a figure that I'm sure most investors know all too well, right around $1,500 a month to carry just one full-time human VA. I mean, that is $18,000 a year for one single seat. And that seat takes vacations. So they pose a pretty brilliant question. Why in the world would you pay a massive premium for slower, inconsistent results? In their view, using expensive human labor for that initial lead qualification is just dead weight on your payroll, especially when you compare it to the relentless efficiency of a system that costs a fraction of the price.
Now, I know exactly what you're probably thinking right now. You're saying, but sellers hate talking to robotic answering machines. Well, the source tackles this objection head-on. We aren't talking about those clunky press 1 for sales robots from 10 years ago. These are highly sophisticated execution engines powered by natural language processing. The article asserts that the AI can seamlessly understand human nuances, intent, and even tone in real time. It allows the system to professionally and urgently qualify sellers, sounding completely natural while you are quite literally asleep. It's a level of conversational intelligence that completely redefines what automated outreach even means.
And this massive shift in efficiency, it also completely upends the traditional pricing models we're used to. The authors call out what they refer to as the gotcha fees of legacy systems. They're talking about platforms like REsimpli that use a tiered complexity model. You know the drill. You might start at a reasonable $149, but you quickly scale up to almost $600 a month just to access the tools you actually need to run your business. The difference in philosophy here is huge. They heavily contrast this with REI Reply's flat fee model, which is just $99 for their entire command center. One system penalizes you for needing more tools, the other basically just hands you the keys to the entire engine from day one. The core argument here is that traditional CRM tiers actively punish your success. Think about it. When your marketing finally hits and the leads start pouring in, the absolute last thing you want is your software bill quadrupling just because you need to add a few more users to handle the volume. These legacy systems scale their pricing up as you scale your business, basically acting like a parasite on your marketing budget. So, that $99 flat rate is presented not just as a discount, but as an actual strategic weapon. It allows you to scale your deal flow infinitely without these crippling overhead costs holding you back.
So the article asks this really defining question. Why settle for a filing cabinet when you can have a high-performance engine? And this right here is the total mindset shift they are pushing for. They want you to stop viewing your software as just this passive digital Rolodex where data just goes to sit and collect dust. Instead, you need to start treating it as an active, aggressive weapon that is actively hunting down deals for you on autopilot. It's really all about turning your tech stack from a cost center into a profit center.
Okay, so what does this high-performance engine actually look like under the hood? The source outlines an architecture specifically designed to eliminate those fragmented, duct-taped tech stacks forever. It requires unified communication intelligence. That means your calls, your texts, your emails, they aren't scattered across 3 different apps anymore. They all live in one central stream. It demands multi-channel sequences firing simultaneously, seamless integration with your ad platforms so lead data flows instantly, and an architecture that scales effortlessly when your lead volume explodes. It's really about building a single, unbreakable machine.
But honestly, the real crown jewel of this entire system, the one feature the article emphasizes way above all else, is autonomous lead qualification. This is the ultimate filter. Instead of you burning hours on the phone or a VA fumbling through a script with an unmotivated seller, the AI ruthlessly interrogates the tire kickers. It's perfectly designed to weed out the time wasters and only pass along the sellers who are hot, qualified, and actually ready to sign. The source argues that this specific feature allows a solo operator to swing with the firepower of a 10-person team, completely bypassing the massive HR headache of managing humans.
Now, I know the biggest objection to any tech upgrade is always the sheer nightmare of migrating your data. Literally nobody wants to deal with it. But the article anticipates this exact friction and promises a painless, rapid transition. You export your data from your legacy graveyard, you seamlessly import your momentum right into the unified ecosystem, and the AI just begins hunting immediately. They claim this entire migration process happens in as little as 24 hours. That means your business experiences zero downtime while effectively upgrading its entire nervous system. Pretty wild, right?
It really all boils down to this fascinating realization about top performers in any industry. The quote says, "The elite aren't smarter or more hardworking, they just have a better engine." The source points out this rapidly widening gap between the top 1% of wholesalers and everyone else. And the crazy part? That gap isn't being bridged by waking up at 4 a.m. or just hustling harder. It's being bridged by automation. It's about deploying ruthless intelligence to do the heavy lifting for you rather than relying on brute human force to manually drag deals across the finish line. And that leaves us with the ultimate question posed by today's explainer. Will you deploy intelligence to dominate your market, or will you become a casualty of this massive tech shift? The article paints a brutally clear picture. In 2026, passive lead management is dead. Now, whether you agree with their super aggressive stance on legacy CRMs or not, the rise of these autonomous 24/7 AI agents is an undeniable reality in the real estate space. It is absolutely something you need to be thinking about as you evaluate your own tech stack moving forward. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.